The cover of this book is a disaster. The Senate building doesn't look like that. Brittany is turning into a werewolf. Kim's neck has grown 3 inches, and Tom's face has been awkwardly shifted to the right.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
The one and only Super Sizzler takes place between books 11 and 12. The whole River Heights gang is going to Washington D.C. for 5 days, and by the whole gang, I mean about half of them are missing. Lacey is staying at home with her boyfriend. Niles and Jillian aren't going, probably because they're British, and the various boyfriends are elsewhere. Kyle is studying, Jeremy's in Bermuda, and Chip is a total jerk. The mean girls decide they're sick of the guys, and they give themselves permission to get vacation boyfriends. Because apparently, it doesn't count as cheating on your boyfriend if you're mad at him. Laura Bennett isn't going on the trip either. You know, Laura, the girl who's always flirting with Tim. She was clearly dating him in the last book, but this book says they're just flirty friends. Continuity! Since Laura isn't around, Nikki decides this is the perfect opportunity for her to make a move on Tim, because she really wants to date him again, only she's shy and nervous because she doesn't know if he feels the same way. Also shy and nervous is Mr. Green, the history teacher. He has a crush on a teacher named Ms. Marshall, but he's too awkward to make a move. All of the students are totally into the idea of history teacher love, and they plot to get the 2 teachers together. It won't be easy, though. Mr. Green is so nervous, he has trouble calling Ms. Marshall by her first name. I can relate. Calling teachers by their first names is awkward. Like, my stepdaughter is in elementary school, and I still call all of her teachers by their last names. Also self-conscious is Kevin, the class clown. He's dating Ellen, and he likes her a lot. He wants their relationship to be serious. Only he keeps turning everything into a joke. He decides to be more serious on vacation, but he fails at making normal person conversation. His talk with Ellen goes something like this. How do you like Washington, D.C.? We just got here. Oh, right. Ellen figures he's acting weird because he's planning a practical joke. He's sad that she thinks so little of him. The gang arrives at their hotel and Nikki starts taking pictures. She gets a nice photo of Tim, only it's not Tim. It's a guy who looks exactly like him, just with different colored eyes. The Tim twin, or Twim, is so cute, both Brittany and Kim decide to date him. They start up a friendly competition to see who can get his attention first, and by friendly competition, I mean they quickly start fighting over everything. As their luggage is being unloaded, a thief grabs Nikki's camera bag and runs away. She chases him outside, where she finds a short, chunky man with her camera. The man says the thief dropped the camera and ran away. Nikki thanks him for helping her, and when his dark eyes narrow and he glares at the bag... Uh-oh, culprit giveaway, culprit giveaway! He introduces himself as Woody Rodell from Louisiana. Samantha notes that his southern accent is completely fake, which more or less confirms for me that he's the culprit. I hate it when I solve mysteries at the beginning. It spoils the entire book. There's no room service menu in the room, so they call for one. The room service guy is a hunky college student, and Samantha gets a crush on him. Sadly, this relationship is doomed to failure because she never gives him any tips. That's a deal breaker for hotel employees. Calvin tries to take everybody to a Thai restaurant, only he gets super lost because he doesn't have a map, and cell phones with GPS don't exist yet. So he wanders around the city aimlessly while everyone complains. His girlfriend Robin tells him to give up and go to dinner somewhere else, but he refuses. He's only 2 blocks away, he knows it! Calvin ends up leading them to the White House, at which point everyone says he's done, they're stopping, they're going back to the hotel. Samantha gets room service while Brittany introduces herself to Tim's doppelganger. His name is Tom Connors. He's a high school student, and he's here to do research. Kim interrupts before Brittany can make much headway, and Tom leaves at the same time as a big guy. The gang goes to the Smithsonian the next day. Brittany gets the one teacher to stand closer to the other teacher, and oh my gosh, it's true love. The teachers must be too overwhelmed by love to do any actual teaching, because they let the kids split up into groups and wander around without any adult supervision. Nikki joins Tim's group so she can be with him. They talk and she starts babbling. He smiles at her, the same smile he gives right before he kisses someone. I didn't know that was a thing. He looks at Nikki intently and asks if she will... They get interrupted. Nikki asks him to continue. He says he wants her to to take some pictures. Yeah, that's what he was gonna say earlier. Yep, totally. Calvin and Robin get into a fight about how to reach the Natural History Museum. Calvin's convinced he doesn't need a map to find it, even though he's never been here before. They get lost, and Robin forces him to go another way. She gets them even more lost, so now they both hate each other. Brittany and Kim fight over everything. They see Tom and talk to him. It's not much of a conversation. Tom basically says, "Sorry, I have to go. Let's meet tonight at 10:30. Which is after curfew. Oh my. Tom leaves with the big guy, and Kim wonders why there's always two big guys around Tom. Brittany jokes that they're bodyguards, and now I'm convinced that Tom is secretly the president's handsome son. Kevin and Ellen visit an art exhibit. He tries his hardest to sound smart, but he can't come up with anything more insightful than, "Wow, that painting sure has some colors in it. Yep, those are definitely colors." Ellen asks him why he's acting so weird, and he explains he wants her to take him seriously, not just as comedy relief. She says he doesn't have to pretend around her because she loves him just the way he is. Aww. They kiss passionately, and they basically disappear for the rest of the book. Nikki sees Woody again. Samantha again notes that Woody is only pretending to be from Louisiana, because nobody who's actually from the South uses the word excellent the way he does. Nikki figures that, maybe he's from a different South, like South Dakota? Samantha wisely decides to ignore Nikki. She goes back and gets room service from Sam, the room service guy. She puts on a big routine over how similar their names are. Once he leaves, she decides he's got a crush on her. He remembered her name. Yeah, after you told him. Sam gives Samantha a receipt for the room service, but there are no prices on it, so she has no idea how much she spent. What's the point of giving someone a receipt if it's blank? Brittany and Kim sneak out to meet Tom. Sneaking out after curfew should be easy because Brittany's the room monitor. All she has to do is check the rooms, tell the teacher that everything's okay, and then leave. But Brittany decides not to check any of the rooms for reasons that aren't explained. After about 10 minutes, the teacher comes out, wondering what's taking Brittany so long. Nikki is forced to cover for her. Nikki chews out Brittany, and then when she returns to her room, it's been ransacked! The culprit tore everything apart! Good news is that the camera was in a different room, so the culprit didn't steal it. The next day, the gang goes to the White House, where they basically repeat everything that happened at the Smithsonian. The mean girls bicker with each other, Calvin and Robin get into a fight, and the history teacher almost start to go out to dinner with each other, but then they get interrupted. Sadly, we do not get a comedy scene where Kevin meets Vice President Quayle. Nikki asks Tim to dinner that night. He shows up 10 minutes late, so Nikki passes the time by talking to Tom. Tim is upset to see her with Tom. "How could you talk to my East Coast twin brother?" Actually, Tim's mad because he thinks Tom is the culprit. Tom has been at the scene of every crime. He's got those big bodyguards that he refuses to talk about, too. Nikki sadly notes that this is not a very romantic conversation. Okay, that doesn't seem relevant to a conversation about a criminal, but sure, you can be disappointed if you want to, Nikki. Everyone else has a bad night. Sam leaves without talking to Samantha for a while. It's almost like that's his job or something. Everyone sneaks out after curfew to use the pool, but one of the teachers is there, so they have to go back to their rooms to avoid being caught. Except for Tom. He spends the night swimming with the teacher. Weird. Is that why the teacher romance isn't working? The teacher romance finally works the next day. The kids run ahead on the tour, so the teachers are left alone. They hold each other's hands, and it's clearly true love. Brittany fakes food poisoning so she can get sent back to the hotel. She meets with Tom, and they make plans to go out that night. The story takes a sudden twist when Tim wanders off by himself. 3 big guys attempt to kidnap him. Nikki screams, everyone runs over, and the kidnappers escape in a limousine. Tim later sees Tom getting out of the same limo. They confront him. Tom confesses he's not really Tom Connors. He's really Tom Conroy. He's the son of a Middle East diplomat who's in danger of being attacked by extremists, hence the fake name and the bodyguards. Although, really, the fake name probably doesn't provide much protection. Conroy the Connors? You could try a little harder than that, Tom. The attempted kidnapping was a misunderstanding. Tom's bodyguards mistook Tim for Tom. Nikki realizes the culprit must also have a hard time telling the boys apart, That's why the culprit is trying to steal her camera. They want her photos of Tom and Tim in order to figure out which boy is which. Brittany and Tom sneak out of the hotel that night, as they planned. Tim and Nikki chase after them, only to find Woody. They quickly realize Woody is the culprit. Tim distracts Woody while Nikki goes ahead and warns the others. Tom and Brittany try to run away, but Brittany twists her ankle and screams. Woody locks eyes onto her, pulls out a gun, and shoots Tom in the arm. No, just kidding. Woody falls into a pool, and Tom's bodyguards show up just in time to have him arrested. We're at the end of the book, so let's wrap things up. Tom kisses Brittany, and they promise to be pen pals. Calvin and Robin pretend to be polite to each other until they get bored of it and start kissing. Samantha orders room service one last time, and she's horrified to learn that Sam has a girlfriend. He starts talking about her enthusiastically, and Samantha slams the door in his face, because she's kind of a jerk. Samantha later gets in trouble when the teachers learn she ordered $52 worth of room service. Poor Samantha. Tim and Nikki bond over their adventure. Tim says he loves her and wants to get back together with her. She says she wanted to tell him that all week, but she was nervous he wouldn't feel the same way. So they kiss, and they're officially a couple again. The end. Post-book follow-up. I liked this book, but when I reread it for this review, I didn't like it. The transitions are too abrupt. For example, take the scene where Samantha learns Sam's name. He shows up with her food, he says hi, and the book immediately cuts away to another scene. We don't see them flirt, we get told afterwards that they exchanged names. This is a Super Sizzler romance book, so why skip over the romance? This happens a lot with the Tom scenes too. Either Kim interrupts the conversation or the book moves on to something else. So we don't get any build up to the ending where Tom kisses Brittany. Sure, she's been making a play for him the entire book, but he hasn't shown any romantic interest in her. It would have been more sizzling if sparks had been flying between those two the whole time. Instead, we get a half-hearted love triangle where two girls both like the same guy, but he doesn't seem to notice either of them. I also think the scenes are too short. It seemed like we never stuck with one storyline for more than 2 to 4 pages. That's a shame because this is an extra long book. They could have taken the time to have longer scenes. For example, the big Tim-Nikki date. That could have been an entire chapter by itself, but instead they split it up into multiple short scenes. I think the Kevin-Ellen storyline was the only one that worked in the short scene format. They have 3 scenes. A problem introduced, it's escalated, and it's resolved. That was nice and tidy. Especially compared to the Robin-Calvin fighting. They had the same basic fight every single scene. The story didn't really go anywhere. It just repeated until they got tired of it. Oh well, at least the two of them were amusingly sassy. Samantha's storyline also didn't go anywhere. She ordered room service, said a few sentences of nice small talk, and that was it. I'm surprised at how entertaining I found this storyline, considering how little happened. I wouldn't have minded a few more scenes of the two Sams. Maybe you could sacrifice the teacher love storyline for that. I didn't much care for teacher love. It felt too undeveloped. The Nikki still loves Tim drama was, you know what? I am glad they got that over and done with in one book, instead of spreading it out over multiple books like their breakup drama. Maybe now they can actually be a good couple. The Nikki thief storyline was not so good. I solved the mystery right from the start, and if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. The premise is that Woody needs to steal Nikki's photos so he can tell the difference between Tim and Tom. But why? He's on a first-name basis with Tim. He should know who Tim is. He can take his own candid photos if he needs to tell them apart so badly. And how is it hard to know that the guy named Tom is actually the guy named Tom? Still, the ending was exciting, even if the culprit capture ended up being culprit falls into a pool by accident. It was the reflecting pool, because Washington D.C. Ha ha ha! And you know, I am still amused that Tim Cooper's double is Tom Connors. That is hilarious. Overall, not a bad book. The storylines are good and there's plenty of them. Not very much filler. I just wish the scenes had been longer. Since I enjoyed 4 out of the 7 storylines, I give River Heights Super Sizzler Junior Class Trip a 6 out of 10.